tall, you never saw. Been in trouble with the law since the day
they were doing 36 in a 35-mile-an-hour zone. And now that is the law, you know. Did you...
And look here, boys. I'm gonna tear up this here speeding ticket of yours again.
Someday the mountain might get 'em, but the law never will. Making their way the only way they know how.
Here's a little song that was a favorite of mine. It shaped my course of life growing up since a little boy. And hopefully, it's a favorite of yours too. On a warm summer's eve, on a train bound for nowhere, I caught up with a gambler. We were both too tired to speak, so we took turns a staring at the window through the darkness till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. Said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You gotta know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. While you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done." Key change. Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. 'Cause every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser, and the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep. And when he finished speaking, turned back towards the window, crushed out his cigarette, faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. In his final words, I found an ace I could keep. 'Cause you got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. While you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Thank you, America. Good night. Okay, now, boss, did I do good?
For that money, it ought to darn socks, wash windows, and bring you breakfast in bed.
Good eats for Johnny Boy. Oh, you're here. Hi, and welcome to the special On the Lam version of the Johnny Vegas Show. Let it be known that no warrants, no police officers, and no speed limits will stop me from bringing fantasy football to you, the viewer. So, with no further ado, except for much respect to my good friend, Mr. Boss Hogg, let's get started. Coming right off the bat, we got the A-holes going up against Team Snake-the-Puss. Now, A-holes, I don't want you to think of this as your season being over, because there are two things that are very important that are not to be lost here. First and foremost, you beat a team with a 10-streak record. That's commendable. Second, you're going to go in as the number 1 seed next year, and that's going to open up the floodgates for doom, destruction, and mayhem. But you know what? There's a gate number 3 waiting for you. You have a chance to take out Snake-the-Puss. Keep in mind, I'm favoring Stinktipuss by 6 because they are a mighty unit, and I'm curious to see how they're going to perform in the playoffs. But here's the thing, they're in a win-to-get-in situation. So while I'm curious, you can be furious and go after them. Do that to your heart's content, even though I'm still going to give it to Team Stinktipuss 6 points. A little thirsty over here. Hey, Sweet Cheeks, you want to rustle me up a drink?
Okay, you got it. There you go.
Thanks, Dollface. Moving on. We got the Vandals going up against the Terror. Now, Vandals, I'd be a little bit sore if I were you. You lost by 1 point. You're in the playoffs, but it was on the hair of the chinny chin chin. But if you're mad now, prepare to get even super furious. Because I'm going to favor the Terror this week by 22 points and lock of the week. Terror are coming on stronger than I have seen any team come on in a long time going into this playoffs. I don't know how long they're going to sustain it, but I know going into week 13, all about numerology, 13 is an unlucky number, and it's a number associated with Terror. Terror, 22 points. You heard it here.
Hey, don't be doing her like that.
Gouda, you knock that off. Up next, we have the Senators going up against the Extractors. Now, what's really neat about this matchup is the fact that these are teams that could really set the tone going into the playoffs here. Because right now, both these teams, I kind of see them kind of being in between the mix. Not someone who I would put money on to win the whole thing, but that could change after this week. That said, I'm going to give this one to the Senators by 4 points. The Extractors, you've been getting my love, but I think the Senators are a little bit tired of their current streak. And I think they want to make it go. Senators by 4. Up next, we got a humdinger of a match. We got the Thunder going up against the Roughnecks. As far as I'm concerned, the Roughnecks are the new kings of this league. They not only vanquished the Slaughterhouse. Yeah, vanquished. It wasn't a one-team off. We'll get to that in a minute. But the Roughnecks now have a streak that could possibly get even bigger. How's that for frightening? Just when you think there's one ugly, scary monster in the movie, there's 2 of them. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on this and a little bit of a personal favor to the #1 fan of the Jamestown Thunder, Deputy Enos Strait. And thanks to you, Enos Strait, I'm going to give the straight poop. The Thunder are going to win this one, but I'm going to give them the smallest advantage I've given all season. 2 points. Please keep in mind the following. Last week, 3 of 5 games were determined by 3 or less points. Amongst them was the Thunder winning by a single point. I'm going to give them 2 because I like them and Deputy Enos Strait likes them. 2 points. Thunder. Hey, Cleese, you got that money you owe me? Nah. Last but not least, you know what? I am going to call this one the least. We have the Slaughterhouse going up against the Heidi Hangman. Slaughterhouse, I'm looking straight into your Steinhoffy eyes and telling you, you disappointed me. 1 loss to an incredible team, I get that. 2 losses in a row where you're not quite living up to your potential? I thought you were going to be the beast, the man. Apparently the beast has already been slayed and the rest is just floor show. Because I'm going to give this one to the Hangman by 4 points. The reason I might give this one to the Hangman, I'm not quite entirely sure. Maybe it's the fact that they're standing over people's heads with a noose on week 13. Maybe it's the Steinhoff Slaughterhouse possibly exhausting all their tricks just to get that impressive streak. Maybe it's the fact that I'm smelling the chicken, the wonderful aroma, and it's driving me into a frenzy. But regardless, Hangman by 4. So those are my picks for this week. I'm hoping that you enjoyed the show, and now if you'll excuse me, I'm going to sit back and enjoy me some fine cuisine here at the Boar's Nest.
The only way to wipe a slate clean is to tear up your speeding ticket.
What do you mean I gotta sing for my supper?
Well, I'm sorry, you can't leave just yet. You're under arrest.
Uh-oh.
Don't do this to me, please, doctor.
Patient screamed disturbingly. Performed removal of vocal cords.
Who wanted a large sausage?
Too many times